On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil.
Will she be able to control its potential future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not.
Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but...
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said...
No, you said it.
By her evil colleagues.
Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an officer
Senator, it doesn't sound like something that
you know
I would
what I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil.
By her evil colleagues.
In the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
There's so much to celebrate in this bill. And again, I don't think it's even possible to convey sort of the point that Russ made. If any of these things was done on its own, this would be considered a historic victory for the movement, for the presidency, for the country. In other words, if we had just did a bill that, say, just did no tax on chips, that would be, people talk about that in 50 years, right? If Ronald Reagan had passed a bill in 1981 saying no tax on tips, there'd be 15 museums out there talking about the time that Ronald Reagan did no tax on tips. There'd be a constant reel on the History Channel about when Ronald Reagan did no tax on tips. That's just one part of this bill. You know, take, of course, something that I've talked a lot about with you and with many others on immigration and border security. This bill fully funds the entire wall across the entire southern border, land and river. So again, you think about promises made, promises kept. Is there a bigger promise than having full, complete, upfront funding that Democrats can never take away? So in other words, it's there, it's upfront, and by the way, it's paid for. Here's another point that isn't discussed very much at all. The immigration provisions in this bill are paid for by charging foreign nationals more money when they want to come to America. So by raising the fees on foreign nationals who are seeking visas and other immigration benefits, we are paying for the wall, for the ICE officers, for the border agents, for the pay raise that President Trump promised the ICE officers and the border agents. So we are literally paying for the defense of the homeland by increasing fees on those in other countries who want to come here. So it's a win-win.